The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are continuing our reviews of the player cards in Threads of Fate. On this episode, we are looking at the Mystic cards. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I promise there are no math lessons in this review, so with that in mind, let's get started. The first Mystic card in the pack is Arcane Research. It's a permanent asset with the talent trait. It has the game text, when you purchase Arcane Research, suffer 1 mental trauma. After each scenario of a campaign, reduce the experience cost of the first spell card you upgrade before the next scenario by 1. The second of 2 level 0 permanents introduced in the Threads of Fate Mythos pack, Arcane Research is it's an exciting addition to the Mystic card pool. Since the Miskatonic Museum was released, Mystics and off-class Mystics have been leaning heavily on Delve Too Deep to generate the extra experience points they need to cover the cost of expensive purchases or upgrades, such as level 5 Shriveling. Arcane Net Research gives those investigators another option they can use, either by itself or in conjunction with Delve Too Deep, to really drive that experience point advantage home. Like Delve Too Deep before it, Arcane Research has a downside, but suffering a mental trauma is a small price to pay to reduce the experience cost of spell cards, which are a staple in most Mystic and off-class Mystic decks. Speaking of cards with the spell trait, there are currently 6 that you can upgrade with Arcane Research: Blinding Light, Mind Wipe, Rite of Seeking, Scrying, Shriveling, and Ward of Protection. So how much experience can you expect to save if you include Arcane Research in your deck? Well, if you're playing Agnes Baker and you'd like to eventually include 2 copies of level 5 Shriveling in your deck, you need 10 experience points. However, if Agnes is willing to upgrade 1 copy of Shriveling after each scenario, and she upgrades to level 3 Shriveling first, she can get those 2 copies of level 5 Shriveling for just 6 experience points. It's going to take you 4 scenarios to complete the upgrade, but 4 experience is a significant discount. You can save yourself a significant amount of experience upgrading the other spell cards too. 2 copies of level 2 Blinding Light will set you back 2 experience instead of 4, while 2 copies of level 4 Rite of Seeking will cost you 6 experience instead of 8. Upgrading to level 3 Scrying costs will set you back 4 experience instead of 6. Finally, upgrading to the level 5 version of Ward of Protection will cost you 6 experience points instead of 10, as long as you're willing to upgrade to the level 2 version first. Now, during a typical campaign, you'll be able to use Arcane Research's discount only 7 times, but you could squeeze a few extra experience points out of it if you play a couple of the side scenarios, like Curse of the Rougarou and Carnival of Horrors. Arcane Research is a boon to nearly every Mystic and off-class Mystic investigator who plays spells. It's a very welcome addition to one investigator in particular, and that is Norman Withers. Norman's a bit of an odd duck, since he starts the campaign as a Seeker, but he then transitions into a Mystic. As I mentioned earlier, many Mystics play 2 copies of Delve Too Deep to generate the experience points they need to afford expensive purchases and upgrades. However, Norman can only include 5 level 0 Mystic cards in his deck. Norman could include 2 copies of Delve Too Deep. However, in order to do that, he would need to make significant sacrifices elsewhere. Arcane Research is a good solution for Norman's woes because it helps him afford those expensive upgrades without taking up 2 of his 5 level 0 Mystic card slots. So I quite like the look of the card in Norman. It's worth noting that Arcane Research is non-unique, so if you're willing to start the campaign with 2 mental trauma, you can be very aggressive and upgrade 2 copies of Shriveling to their level 5 counterparts after just 2 scenarios for 6 experience points. Now, normally the experience cost of a card is always at least 1, but that's not the case with Arcane Research, so you can upgrade to level 2 Blinding Light or level 2 Ward of Protection for free if you have the 2 copies. I've been looking forward to Arcane Research since it was spoiled in the Threads of Fate preview article months ago. Cards that tinker with the experience point mechanic have proven themselves to be quite powerful time and again, and I expect Arcane research to make the cut in most spell-heavy Mystic and off-class Mystic decks. There aren't that many spells that can be upgraded at the moment, but the ones that can be are staples, and I expect there to be many more upgrades as the game grows. Taking a mental trauma is a pain, but I think it's worth it in the long run. Besides, Mystics and off-class Mystics usually have sanity for days, and most of them are hardly going to notice the difference if they start the campaign with a mental trauma. And they are also the ones who are best equipped to remove that mental trauma with various healing cards like Fearless. The second Mystic card in the pack is a new event. This is Counterspell. It costs 2 resources, 2 experience points, and has willpower and intellect skill icons. It has the spell and blessed traits and the game text fast. Play when a Skull, Cultist, Tablet, or Elder Thing Chaos token is revealed during a skill test at your location. Cancel that Chaos token. Do not reveal a new Chaos token to replace it. Chaos Bag Manipulation is an extremely powerful tool, but it felt like you needed a degree in mathematical probability and a scientific calculator to really understand the effects of most of the Mystic cards in the Forgotten Age Deluxe expansion. Counterspell is a refreshing change of pace because it takes a much more straightforward approach to Chaos Bag Manipulation. If someone at your location draws one of the special tokens from the Chaos Bag, you can play Counterspell to cancel it. You don't even bother drawing another Chaos token to replace it. It's like that token simply didn't exist. That's a powerful effect on easy or standard difficulty, but it's absolutely fantastic on hard or expert, where the special tokens in the Chaos Bag can really redefine pain. Counterspell reminds me a little bit of Defiance, the Mystic skill released in the Blood in the Altar expansion. Of course, Defiance, before you reveal a Chaos token for the test, you got to choose one of the special symbols and ignore its effects if you drew it. Obviously, Counterspell lets you cancel it. You don't have to do any of these guessing games, and you just get to cancel one of those special tokens if it is revealed. The only card that comes anywhere close to Counterspell's power level at the moment is Time Warp, the Mystic event from Dim Carcosa. That said, Time Warp does come with its own baggage in the form of a lengthy FAQ. Both cards let you effectively cancel a Chaos token, although they achieve the effect in different ways. Time Warp is a resource cheaper and more versatile than Counterspell, since you can play it in response to pulling any token from the Chaos Bag, not just one of the special tokens. However, Time Warp also resets the entire board state, which can make it feel like a blunt instrument. Counterspell is much more precise, but it's no good to you if you draw that -5 token, which seems to happen with all too much frequency in the Forgotten Age cycle. There are advantages and disadvantages to both approaches, and I haven't decided which one I prefer, and certainly there is no reason you can't purchase both and really put a chokehold on the Chaos Bag. Counterspell also works well when it's played in combination with Dark Prophecy, the Mystic event from the Forgotten Age Deluxe expansion. I'm not going to delve too deep into the math. If you want that, you can look at my Forgotten Age Mystic card reviews. But playing Dark Prophecy almost guarantees that you'll draw one of the special tokens. If one of those tokens is going to do more harm than good, you can always cancel it with Counterspell. Counterspell is also helpful if you're playing any of the Mystic assets or events that have drawbacks if you pull one of the special tokens. Pulling one of the special tokens while using either level of Rite of Seeking, for example, can be a real drag, since you lose all remaining actions and immediately end your turn. But not if you've got Counterspell in your back pocket. Now you can use Rite of Seeking as your first action, secure in the knowledge that your turn isn't going to come to a screeching halt if you happen to draw one of those special tokens. Mystics have received a lot of Chaos Bag Manipulation tools in the past 2 expansions. They've also got several ways to earn a lot of extra experience points, and I think a lot of Mystics are going to spend some of that experience to purchase a copy or two of Counterspell. It's not a fancy card, and you don't need to be a math major to understand what it does, which is awfully nice for a change. Who knows, maybe we'll see another version of Counterspell released at some point down the line, so you can take advantage of all that arcane research that you're going to be doing. That's going to do it for my review of the Mystic cards in Threads of Fate. This is a very strong pack for Mystics. Arcane Research is going to find a home in a lot of Mystic decks. Mystics have a lot of expensive upgrades to purchase, and Arcane Research is going to help you save experience on those spells, and you'll be able to plug some of that experience points to fill other holes in your deck. I think the only question is whether you're going to take one copy of Arcane Research or two when you start a campaign. As for Counterspell, it's a powerful Chaos Bag manipulation tool. It's not flashy and it's not complicated. It's just brutally effective at bringing the Chaos Bag to heal if you draw one of those special Chaos tokens. And as you know, as campaigns progress, those special tokens tend to get a little bit worse with each scenario, and Counterspell is your answer to that. That's going to do it for my review. If you enjoyed what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromling@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromling. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.